Live.
People get ready, for the train is coming. Don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesel humming. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. Welcome, listening audience and viewing audience, to the People Get Ready podcast with the legendary political guru, Mr. Charles E. Bibbs Sr. from Bibbs Record Shop. Give it up for the star of the show, Mr. Charles E. Bibbs Sr. Take it away, Mr. Bibbs.
Thank you, Reverend Ben Fair. Awesome introduction. Really appreciate it. And yes, today we have an awesome show that's right up to date in all areas. Things are going on all over Ohio and all over the world. And we'll be bringing you the latest news in all the areas that we are concerned about today on today's show. First of all, coming right out of Columbus, we're going to have what happened last night and today in the General Assembly of Ohio. And later on in the show, we'll be talking about a young lady coming out of Columbus, Ohio, who's running for the United States Senate, Morgan Hopper. Thank you very kindly. And as usual, we'll start off with the number one product in drinking, coffee. Miss Joanne Harley, who is a recording star, rhythm and blues star, and you can look up on the YouTube and see both of her latest tunes, both in gospel and in soul music. She's the one who will be talking to you about bio coffee. Take it away, Maestro. The tape on the bio coffee, the 2-minute sizzle tape now by Miss Joanne Harley. Thank you. Bio coffee, number one coffee in the world.
And it's great. It tastes great. Fantastic.
All organic product.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. While we're waiting, we'll bring Miss Joanne Harley up later with the coffee. But Mr. James Jerome Bell has some not hot news coming out of Cleveland City Hall, right out the mayor's office. Take it away, Mr. James Jerome Bell.
Yes, Mr. Bibb. The 2022 State of the City Address with the Honorable Mayor Justin Bibb will take place Wednesday, April 13th, 2022, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Maltz Performing Arts Center, 1855 Ansel Road, Cleveland, Ohio. The event will be live streamed at cityclub.org. If you wish to attend in person, you must reserve your seat in advance through Maltz Performing Arts Center box office 216-368-6062, and there is a limit of 2 tickets. Free public transportation and free parking will be available. Doors open at 6 p.m.
Mr. James Jerome Bell, would you give us that phone number again, please?
Yes, the phone number is 216-368-6062.
Thank you, Mr. Jerome Bell. This will be the first time that the State of the City address is coming to the people of the greater Cleveland area straight out of Huff. Straight out of Huff, Ansel Road in Huff. That's where the Performance Center is located. And we appreciate you all coming to hear it straight from our newly elected Mayor, Justin Bibb. It's going to be a wonderful evening, and we look forward to having all of our listening and viewing audience And we look forward to seeing you at the event. It's Miss Candace Jones in the house.
Yes, I am.
Miss Candace Jones, would you share with our audience the latest in the SNAP delivery opportunity? Would you share that?
Okay. So I would like to show a quick video about Snap Delivered. Snap Delivered is a new food delivery service that just launched last year, June of 2021. And it is unique because it helps to help restaurants stay open. It helps drivers. It helps customers. For a restaurant per delivery, Snap Delivered only charges $2 per delivery instead of the normal 20, 30, or 40% of the delivery that other delivery services charge. So I'm just going to share a quick video to give you an idea of what Snap Delivered is. So you should be able to see my screen.
Snap Delivered, hottest thing in the USA.
Hello, everyone. This is Tony with Snap Delivered. Welcome to our Thursday night overview. Tonight, we're going to share a little bit about who we are, what we do as a company, and how you can benefit financially by becoming a part of the Snap Delivered family. Snap is a young company. We pre-launched in June of 2021. We're participating in the $100+ billion restaurant delivery industry, and we're really poised to disrupt a lot of major players in this space. The space is growing. Over 60% of US consumers are ordering delivery or takeout at least once a week. And as big as the industry has gotten, it's projected to hit over $200 billion annually by 2025. If you can position yourself in an industry that's going from 100 billion to 200 billion in a really short time frame, there's massive opportunity to be found by positioning yourself in that industry. There's multi-billion-dollar players like DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber, $100+ million players like Waiter, Delivery.com, Eat Street. The thing about all these massive companies is they do things exactly the same way. They hide fees and hit their customers at checkout with them. Some of them take tips away, portions of tips away from their drivers, and the restaurants are hammered the worst. They're charging massive fees. If you think about the way the restaurants are charged, if you had a restaurant that you owned that was doing 20 orders a day, and the average order was just under $40 an order, which is the industry average for delivery, you'd pay just under $100,000 in delivery fees to Uber, DoorDash, Grubhub if they were hitting you at 35% of every order that went out. And that's pretty typical. If you did the same amount of orders with Snap Delivered, your restaurant would pay $14,600 in fees. You'd save over $84,000 a year as a restaurant owner. If you owned a restaurant, I think all of us, if we owned restaurants, if we had a choice to have an Uber driver or DoorDash driver or Grubhub driver pick up our food and deliver it, and we had to pay almost $100,000 a year, or we could have a Snap driver pick it up, as long as it was done timely, as long as it was professionally done, we could save $84,000 and put it in our pocket instead of Uber's pocket. I think we'd all choose to partner with Snap. And that's what restaurants are doing every single day right now. Our restaurants are charged no massive commission fees. We don't charge them 20, 30, up to 40% sometimes these restaurants pay to these big delivery companies. We charge $2 flat rate, $50 order, $2, $100 order, $2, $200 order, $2. Our restaurants are paid quickly, our drivers are paid instantly, and there's no hidden service fees paid by our customers. The delivery team, the executive team at Snap Delivered, is second to none. Not only do they have a strong background in networking, they've built massive organizations worldwide, but they've also built multi-million-dollar delivery businesses in the space. They've exited to some of those $100 million, billion-dollar companies you've seen, and they've wanted to come back into the industry and really disrupt the way things work in the delivery space. To get started, if you're going, this sounds great, how much does it cost? What do I need to do to partner up? It's free. You just, whoever invited you onto tonight's webinar, have them send you an invitation to download the app. You can become a free customer, and every time you share that app and a customer places an order, you get paid. If you share the app with a driver and they deliver an order, you get paid. If you share the app with a restaurant and they sign up and they start doing deliveries, they fulfill deliveries, you get paid. Now, if you have maybe a team building background, you can upgrade to what's called a manager. You never have to do that. But for $299 a year, you can actually earn overrides off of your team as it starts to grow. You always get paid off your personal referrals, no matter what. Any customer refers restaurants, drivers, you get paid. If you're a manager, though, you can get paid off of an organization that you build. The SNAP comp plan is simple. There's 4 things you can do to earn income: refer customers, drivers, restaurants, and managers. How that plays out, whether you're a free customer, an executive, any restaurant you refer, you make 40 cents an order. Any customer you refer who places an order, you make $1 an order. Now, again, that doesn't sound like a lot of money. $1 here, 40 cents there. But here's the deal. It adds up. If you referred 10 restaurants that did 20 deliveries a day. Now, listen, some restaurants do more than that, some do less. But on average, let's say you had 10 restaurants doing 20 deliveries a day. That's 6,000 orders per month. At 40 cents an order, you're clearing $2,400 per month. And that's pretty residual. Most people eat more than once a day. Most people order delivery several times a week, and they'll order over and over and over. And these restaurants are going to fulfill order after order after order, and you're going to get paid every time they do it. What if you also referred some drivers? Let's say you did 10 restaurants and you also referred 10 drivers. If they were all helping with those 6,000 orders a month, you get an extra $1,200 for all those drivers. So now, off your own personal referrals, you're at $3,600 a month. But what if you introduce 3 managers to do the same thing? Those managers, let's say they did 10 restaurants, 10 drivers, that's 30 drivers and 30 restaurants on what we call your level 1. You earn 10% off all of that volume that's created. That's $5,400 per month on top of the $3,600 you're making off your own restaurants and your own drivers. And what if it duplicated one more time? Those 3 people each brought in 3 people. Now you'd have 9 what we call level 2 managers. They refer 10 restaurants, 10 drivers each. So now you've got 90 restaurants, 90 drivers, all doing 20 orders a day. That creates another $8,100 per month on top of your level 1, on top of your personal. That's a total of over $17,000 a month in residual income. As long as these restaurants are delivering, fulfilling deliveries, as long as the drivers are delivering orders, as long as those customers are placing orders, you're getting paid over and over and over again. I looked at something like this and said, even if it's 10% of that, instead of the restaurants doing 20 orders a day, what if they were doing 2 orders a day? That's still $1,700 a month. Ask yourself this question. If you had an extra $1,700 in your account right now, is there something positive that you could do for yourself or your family with that $1,700? And what if you knew next month another $1,700 was coming? And the month after that, another $1,700? Would Christmas be a little bit different? Would the car you drive maybe be a little bit different? Would your college fund for your kids get funded a little bit quicker? Would your debt get paid off quicker? Would your retirement account get replenished post-pandemic? A lot of people are looking for ways to diversify their income. They're looking for ways to replace their savings account that got depleted. Times have been pretty crazy, and people are looking for an opportunity. We have training and support every step of the way. If you're looking at this going, I need something like this, but man, I don't know how I would sign up a restaurant. I don't know how I would talk to a restaurant owner about SNAP. We have a restaurant roundtable where you can invite restaurant owners to talk with us directly. We'll share the vision with them. We'll share the savings with them. We'll answer their questions, and we'll help you sign them up. We also have leadership training, Taco Tuesdays. We'll teach you how to recruit drivers. We'll teach you how to cold walk into restaurants, how to send Facebook messages to restaurants. We'll teach you how to build an organization of other managers. We have the opportunity overviews Thursday night. We have marketing tools, things that you can take in and leave with restaurant owners so they can see and learn about us. It's all professionally done. We have live events. The next one's coming up October 16th and 17th. It's in Jupiter, Florida. I apologize if you're watching this today because we have sold out. So if you do want to go to that, unfortunately, you'll have to wait for the next one, but we will have plenty of live trainings all throughout the country. So the next one will come up and we'll let you sign up for that one. But a lot of people were excited to see here in the next couple of weeks in Jupiter, Florida. And then we've got our Snap Delivered training videos that are on our Snap Delivered YouTube page. So you've got plenty of training and support to learn what to say to restaurants, what to say to drivers, how do you get customers to download the app, and we'll hold your hand all the way so you can be successful building your Snap Delivered business. The bottom line is right now, restaurants are sick and tired of paying these delivery companies 20, 30, 40% of every order that's leaving their restaurant. They're looking for an alternative. Someone just has to tell them about the Snap Delivered opportunity. It might as well be you. It might as well be now. If your city is going to get taken over by Snap, maybe you should be the one that overrides every single order that goes out of every restaurant near your house. Every driver that picks up the orders may be one of your referrals. Every customer that downloads the app is somebody from your Facebook page, and then it'll grow out from there. We appreciate you sharing some of your time with us to see what Snap Delivered is up to. Contact whoever invited you to this webinar. Let them know if you want to learn more, or heck, if you want to download the app, tell them to send you the app. It's free. Get started, become a customer, check us out, and we'll start delivering success right to your door.
Thank you very much for taking the time to watch that video. Very dynamic. I'm a manager with Snap Delivered. Candace Jones, I'm a manager with Snap Delivered, and I have been for the past 2 months. If you are interested in joining the Snap Delivered family, and again, as the gentleman said, you can join for free as a customer when you place an order, or you can join as a driver, or if you have a restaurant you want to share. Contact Mr. Bibb at 216-659-4619, and he will get you started. You can also go on www.opportunity.snapdelivered.com and get more information about the opportunity as well. But you want to join as soon as possible because this business is taking off really good. So the Cleveland area restaurants are jumping on board. There's drivers that are jumping on board. So you want to be part of this ground level opportunity. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. Bibb.
Thank you, Miss Candace Jones. Very good job, very good job. Very good video from the company. And while we missed the National Convention in Florida, there's one coming up in April of this year in Las Vegas. Las Vegas. Next week we'll have all the information for you for the Las Vegas trip, last of April of 2022. You don't want to miss it. We'll have that information. Stay tuned for next week. Thank you. And now we have hot breaking news coming to you straight out of the capital of Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, straight out of the House, straight out of the General Assembly. They worked hard last night. They must have had at least 3 or 4 breaks working. They worked until they were completed their job, and I'm told just about everything is set for May 3rd. Do we have State Representative Juanita Brent in the House? It's State Representative Juanita Brent. Are you in the House?
Yes, she is. Hold on.
State Representative Juanita Brent, Cleveland, Ohio. Are you in the House? It's Candace Jones. Would you check while we do some other things? Make sure she's hooked up.
I know she was finishing up a call, so she might still be doing that.
Okay. Reverend Fair,
Yes, sir.
have we heard anything about the deliveries that we're supposed to do about the PPE equipment?
Yes, Mr. Bibbs. We're still waiting for our warehouse to open up to us. The truck is ready, and all we need to do is to sign ourselves to our warehouse so that we can get our March delivery out to our residents.
Have you been able to reach Miss Tammy Kennedy? She would have the
Mr.
latest.
Bibb.
Yes.
We have our other guest speaker on the line, candidate Morgan Harper for U.S. Senate.
Okay. Would you text the state rep and let her know we've changed her time? Stay tuned to us. But we'll go to our candidate for the United States Senate from Ohio, Ms. Morgan Harper, and I would like you to join in Ms. Candace Jones along with Mr. James Jerome Bell and Reverend Ben Fair in an interview after she introduces herself and tell us about why she's running and all that kind of good information. The floor is yours, Ms. Harper.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Bibb, for having me. It's great to be with y'all tonight. I already mentioned, but I am running for the U.S. Senate seat. And a big reason why I'm in politics just has to do with some of my experiences early on in life in Columbus, where I am today and where I was born. And I was born at the Ohio State University Hospital, given up for adoption. I lived in a foster home when I was a baby and then was adopted and raised by my mom, who worked in the public school system. And like a lot of us, we went through a lot, but I knew the reason we were able to make it through is because I had even one parent with a stable job and a strong community around us. And that's what put me in a position to live out my potential, get to places like Stanford Law School, Princeton University, and that's what I want for every Ohioan. And so, I was able to get to Washington. I worked at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau after the financial and foreclosure crisis and really started to understand just why we haven't reached that vision of everybody getting access to opportunity that way. It has a lot to do with how politics has gotten corrupted there, the influence of special interest money. And if we're going to get that back on track, we have to have more grassroots folks running, winning, representing us, who are more about getting things done, solving problems, and not taking as much of this corporate money. So we are running, and that's why I decided to run for the United States Senate, because we need a new path forward here. And we have a lot of issues going on, in Cleveland area. I hear similar things in Columbus and Chillicothe and Toledo, a lot of problems around violence right now, job opportunities that are keeping up with the cost of living, healthcare expenses. And my message is, we have policies to address all of that. We just need to make sure that we have the leadership that's going to push for it, get it done. So I'm looking forward to the discussion this evening and all of the questions. And again, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Candidate for the United States Senate from Ohio, Ms. Morgan Harper. The floor is yours, Reverend Ben Fair.
Thank you, Mr. Bibb. Good evening, Ms. Harper.
Good evening. How are you?
Great, thank you. There is a buzz about you in Ohio, and we want to say to you best wishes for you running for the United States Senate, and we just want to say congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And also,
buzz is good. Can we multiply it by 1,000 before May 3rd?
We're trying.
Okay.
The question that I have for you is, how do you feel about canceling student loan debts?
Great question. So I do support canceling student loan debt, and even beyond that, also I support having training and educational opportunities that aren't going to result in people getting as much of this debt. But the reason why I support canceling student loan debt is we've had over the past 20 years a lot of loans that have been given out, and oftentimes in predatory ways, loans given to people that these companies knew were never going to be able to pay them back. And it is now a burden on working people. And so we need to make sure that we have folks who are entering adulthood who have the ability to buy homes, who have the ability to invest, save up for retirement. We don't all have pensions waiting for us, as we're aging at this point. And so just cancel it. This will be an economic boon for the middle class in our country. And as I think we noted when we were talking on Sunday, the demographic most impacted by the student debt crisis, not everybody talks about this, is Black women. So this is also very much, a racial justice issue, and it's the right thing to do.
Thank you. I have one more question I want to ask you. I know that you are passionate about Ohioans, and could you tell our listening audience and our viewing audience, if you were to become the U.S. Senator from Ohio, how would you help the seniors and the working class people in Ohio?
Well, in many ways, you said, how would I center working class people in Ohio? Is that what you said?
How would you help the seniors and the working class people in Ohio?
Oh, seniors.
Yes.
Seniors, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And this is one of my visions too. It's not just young people. I mean, it's really at every stage of life that we are all able to lead stable lives. And so, looking at our seniors, one of the big things that people bring up often is the cost of healthcare, including prescription drugs that have gotten totally out of control.
Yes.
And in my view, in order to do something about that, we have to check the power of big pharmaceutical companies that are pretty much just making it up as they go along at this point. And so that's why I don't take any money from big pharma. And we need to have a universal healthcare system so that we can leverage the power of the federal government to be able to check those costs, keep costs down, so that we're paying prices for essential drugs, especially for a lot of our elderly folks, that are comparable with what other developing countries are paying. Right now, in many cases, we're paying 3, 4, 10 times as much for the same prescriptions, and that is not only not right, it is not sustainable, and it's a life or death issue for many people.
Yes, thank you.
The other thing that I would note, if I may, just for the senior population, is housing. Some people are in homes and are able to keep up with the costs of taxes surrounded with those homes and all of that. Mm-hmm. And we could think about strategies to make sure that property taxes aren't as much of a burden for the middle class as we age, and you don't have you're living more on a fixed income. But I think we also need to look at, in terms of the overall housing crisis that's been hitting a lot of parts of Ohio and all over the country, really making sure that we're creating alternative, affordable senior housing options for folks who maybe no longer want to live in a home. So that's another thing that I've been hearing from a lot of people as we travel around the state: the availability and, importantly, the quality of that senior housing that we're creating to make sure that we have lots of alternatives for our elderly folks to live in as we age, which, with any luck, we'll all be doing. So we need to be thinking strategically about that stage of life as well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Reverend Van Fair. Miss James Jerome Bell, your question, please.
Yes, Madam Harper, I had the opportunity to meet you last week, and I came away very impressed. The question that I have for you is, how can we make Ohio, both rural and urban, come together and truly unite, both economically, in a way that we can prosper moving forward?
This has been one of the things that's most inspiring, really, about this campaign and traveling around the state so much. Is I've learned a lot about places that I wouldn't necessarily have normally gone, living in Ohio. But what I've heard is that we're all experiencing really similar things, as I mentioned earlier. And so, the prescription that I have for what would serve people in rural areas, in more urban areas and suburban areas, is pretty similar. That it turns out we all need to make sure that we have access to affordable health care, and that, regardless of what our employment situation is, that we're able to get that. We all need to look at just how much power has accumulated among hospital monopolies that has resulted in a lack of care, both in, Youngstown, for example. Women have to leave Youngstown to be able to deliver a baby because there isn't a hospital available in the city, similar to what you're hearing in rural areas where a lot of the rural hospitals have closed. Making sure that we have access to education that doesn't require people leaving the region that they were born in if they don't want to have to be able to access jobs and opportunity. That's why I want to invest in clean energy sectors of the future, so that when we talk about rebuilding our manufacturing sector, we're talking about doing that in industries that can be competitive even in a global economy. So that's everywhere. And I think the opportunity in running a statewide campaign and what we need to think about as a Democratic Party is educating folks about how we are going through these similar issues and then build a very broad coalition of support to do something about them. Totally possible. Like I said, one of the most inspiring things about this whole campaign and this moment that we're in, that as we know, we have forces that want to continue to lead us to believe that we are so different, so divided, and we who understand that we have a lot in common need to rapidly find each other all over the state of Ohio to make sure that we are building towards a state of the future and a place where we all can safely live, age, and have families.
Thank you. Time. Go ahead, Mr. James Jerome Bear. You was out there Sunday. Give us one more.
I just had a final question. We know the significance of Ohio in American history and also contemporary America today. Moving forward, how would you strategize and put Ohio in the forefront of American society?
Mm-hmm. Well, I do think this is where our leadership decisions are very relevant. I mean, there's this perception of Ohio that we're a lot less diverse than we are. I don't think everyone always knows just how different we are from a place like Iowa, for example, you know, that we have a much larger Black population, that we have 500,000 Latino people in our state, that the fastest growing minority group in the state, Asian Americans. We need to make sure that we're telling the true story of our state and having leadership that's reflecting that diversity. And so, you know, when I hear, and we should all know that we have never had a woman senator from our state, that we have never had a Black senator from our state in its entire history, that is why people continue to have the perception sometimes of this place. And that then influences who feels like this place is really for me and who would want to move here. You know, it's great to have announcements about like the Intel investment that's coming to Central Ohio, but it is not going to be such an attractive option if people feel like they won't have a community that's accepting of them, even if it's a appealing job. So all of this is connected. I think it's really important for us to make sure that we are driving our leadership and the stories of our state forward out there, telling our own stories so that people really understand what Ohio is about, and that we have leaders that are going to not only reflect that diversity, value it, but also continue to create the conditions for it to prosper.
Thank you. Ms. Candace Jones? Ms. Candace Jones? All right.
I'm here.
Oh, do you have a
Ms.
question?
Harper, I do have a question.
Okay.
And I'm going to think positive. When you are elected U.S. Senate for Ohio, what do you feel your first three priorities are?
Mm-hmm. So one, the violence issues. I'm really focused on that. Like I said, it's one of the things that's come up most often, and would love to just in the first 90 days put together a town hall with, you know, state elected officials, local officials, private sector, the other federal representatives, to community activists to come up with a plan. What's a plan? We don't want to see so many young people's lives being lost. So that's a top priority. Two, I really want to move forward on healthcare and pushing that. And I would say that, you know, pushing universal healthcare, to be specific. And that is sometimes seen as a controversial policy, but most people I talk to realize that we're not in a sustainable situation now with our healthcare. So really, you know, continuing to educate, build the base of support for that, and then advocate for moving that policy forward in Washington. And then finally, you know, another big policy priority for me is one that we've already mentioned, you know, canceling the student debt. We need to show immediate value for people in electing Democrats to the United States Senate. That is a promise that a lot of people feel like was made during the presidential cycle, and it has not been fulfilled. And so we need to continue to put the pressure on. If we can have that happen through legislative means, let's do it. But we know that there's the ability to do it at the executive level, and we need to get that done. It would immediately impact people's bottom lines all over our state.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Harper. I'm going to give you a closer. Here's my major concerns, and you can address them all at one time.
Okay.
Build Back Better was set to the side. Voting rights was set to the side. The John Lewis bill was set to the side. no police reform set to the side, George Floyd's bill set to the side, and the closer, I'm told that Channel 8's going to do a great debate for the Republican Party. They got 5 multi-million-dollar people debating on Channel 8. If there's anything happening with Channel 8 and a debate for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, so on the policy issues that you mentioned, I mean, all of those are also on my platform and issues page on the website, morganharper.org. So certainly priorities, and to do much about anything that we've been talking about, we have to get rid of the filibuster. So that's kind of the elephant in the room, to pass voting rights, to be able to move forward Build Back Better based on the type of obstructionism that we've seen from certain people in our caucus, like Manchin, Sinema. So on board with those, and specifically on the police reform issue, I support ending qualified immunity. And that has been a bargaining chip in some of these conversations about police reform. I do not think that should be removed from the bill. That is really critical to be able to bring more accountability when there are incidents of lives being lost by those who are supposed to be protecting us and keeping everyone safe. So just like all of us, law needs to apply across the board. And then on the Fox 8 debate issue, yeah, it doesn't appear that they're going to host one for the Democratic primary. In the news article that we saw about that, it said that they had reached out to the campaigns and shared criteria, and that they didn't have enough candidates meet that, so that's why they were going to host one. That was not true. We were not communicated with before seeing the public news article saying that there wouldn't be a Democratic debate, and it's a real shame. As we know, a lot of this political name ID comes down to how much people are spending on ads. The stat came out a couple of days ago that the Republican candidates collectively have spent over $30 million on paid ads already in their primary. And so a lot of the name ID, the current state of it, is just driven by ad spend, and Democrats have not been spending as much on ads right now. So I think it serves us best as a society, as a democracy, to have people engaging with the political process, knowing their choices. Do people like debates a lot, is something that I've learned in my pretty short political career. And it's a good way to educate folks about, what are our different policy positions. Because let's take, for example, one of the ones that I've already mentioned, Medicare for All. My main opponent in the Democratic primary, Tim Ryan, is not in support of Medicare for All, universal health care. Stated reason for not being in support of that is because union members will lose health care benefits. And my response to that is not true. I mean, any policy that's implemented has an implementation period. It can be phased in to protect existing benefits that have been negotiated. But also, we have people with negotiated existing benefits that are not meeting their needs, like striking workers who I have met that have deductibles that are $10,000, $12,000, $13,000, and they're making under $20 an hour. So we need to be real about what are we advocating for, what are the justifications for certain positions, and debates provide a platform for doing that. It does seem like we're going to have one at the end of March, hosted by the Ohio Debate Commission, that both Democrats, and there'll be a separate one for the Democrats that I believe all of the Democratic candidates in the primary will participate in. And I'm very much looking forward to that, because we have a lot of ground to make up if we're going to have any hope of beating a Republican in November.
All right. I want to thank you, United States candidate from Ohio, for Ohio, Ms. Morgan Harper. And we're going to look forward to seeing you again at the end of the month, because we're going to do something for the ladies. This is International Women's Month, the month of March. So we're going to have all the women candidates back on the program before the month's over. Thank you very kindly.
That's great. Looking forward to it. All right, morganharper.org, MH4OH on all social media platforms. We need people to plug in. So appreciate the opportunity to be with y'all again.
Okay, give us that one more time.
morganharper.org is our website, and then MH4OH, so MH, the number 4, OH, on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
And I'm also going to have Mr. James Jerome Bell get in touch with Channel 8 and find out why they're only doing debates for Republicans. Thank you.
Great. All right.
All right.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Bibb.
Yes.
Mr. Bibb, State Representative Juanita Brent has joined us.
Perfect timing. State Representative Juanita Brett, are you there?
Hi, Mr. Bibbs, and hi, everyone. I'm listening underneath the sound of my voice. Thank you for having me on your
Yes.
podcast again.
You had quite a day last evening and yesterday and today. You are really down there working hard and give us our work for our money. So would you bring us right up to date? We're so fortunate to have our show, Reverend Ben Fair.
Yes, sir.
And James Jerome Bell and Miss Candace Jones. We get it fresh off the press. Bring us right up to date, Miss.
Well, as everyone's been keeping up with the news, there are still no state house maps. And because of there being no state house maps, everything that we are doing at this point is affecting what's happening with this upcoming election. We are 54 days into our May 3rd primary. And just to give everybody a little background information, the only people that can change the primary election date is the General Assembly, not the Supreme Court, not the governor, not the Secretary of State. To anticipate that, there was an amendment that was added on basically to a random bill. Originally, it was added on to House Bill 188, which is to prohibit ensure discrimination against living organ donors. It was a bill that I originally voted for as is, but when it went over to the Senate, it was an amendment that was added, basically saying that the military would be able to have an additional 16 days to be able to send their ballots back. Now, the issue with all of this is that we know that we still don't know the map. So how can we send out ballots if we do not know who the candidates are? We do not know any of the state house, state reps, state senators, congressional candidates. We also do not know for state central committee people who are in those positions. So that amendment was added on, and that was a whole problem within itself. So what's happened with that is that there was a lot of contention to the point it was put in as an emergency clause for House Bill 188, and the amendment failed. What they call for a concurrence vote, where the House members were asked to agree on it. It was all of us Democrats over in the House. We did not agree to it. And someone's asking probably right now, why would a bunch of Democrats agree, go against a concurrence vote to allow the military to be able to send their ballots in late? The principle of all of this and why we decided to vote no on it is because we need to change the primary election date. Many boards of elections, particularly in highly dense areas such as Cuyahoga County, Summit, Franklin, Hamilton, have basically told us that no matter how much money they have, they do not have enough time to come up with the ballots and to be able to make sure there's accuracy when it comes to the election. So they don't just need money, they need time to be able to do all this in a timely manner to have a good election for everybody, not just for those in the military, but for everybody. So this is our push that we need to change the date and not just allow the date to be changed for the military. We need it changed for everyone. So we voted down that emergency clause. At the State House, people, there's always one way to bite the apple. We end up having another bill that we already voted on, which was Senate Bill 11, which is actually another bill that I voted for, which says the designate Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Week, which is really a simple bill. And it even had things that we liked on there, such as Juneteenth. And someone's probably saying like, well, we already passed Juneteenth on a federal level. Yes, we did. But it did not apply on a federal level to every type of employee. So we needed to make sure that everybody, particularly people who work jobs that are on 10 and 11th month basis, will be able to utilize Juneteenth as a paid holiday at their job. So the first time that bill, Senate Bill 11, came through, I personally voted for it, and it had unanimous vote. But when it came back again for a re-vote on that same bill, when this amendment was added, the amendment included what failed before, which was allowing the military to be able to send their ballots in 16 days after the election. This time, because there was an appropriation added to the amendment, which was $200,000 for education purposes for the Board of Elections, it was able to receive overwhelming support. And so it passed 61 to 32. It kept us at the State House till about 9:30 at night last night. which is really late for us, especially when we start session at 1, and we only have 5 bills. So there is constantly a war for this election, and myself as well as our Democrats, our House Democrats, are fighting to make sure that there are fair elections and that everyone has access to elections.
Thank you. Thank you.
She's still talking. We can't hear her.
Ms. Candace Jones, can you hear?
We can't hear her.
State Representative Brett answered the question I had about if there was going to be, the primary was going to be May 3rd or not. I think she kind of answered that question.
Yeah, so there's been an overwhelming support, mostly from the Republicans, to not change the primary date. And we are going to run into a situation. Everyone has to remember that in 24 days, early voting starts. People do not know who the candidates are. People do not know what their districts look like. But in 24 days, you and I both, and any registered voter here in Ohio, will be eligible to start voting in this primary 2022 election. So if we do not have maps, if we do not have ballots, if we're missing a lot of basic things to be talking about voting in 24 days.
So would there be is it possible that there will be 2 primaries, or just the primary date would move itself?
So I would love for us to just have one primary date that gets moved. It's very costly to have two primary dates. If we have 2 primary dates here within the state of Ohio, that's going to be an additional $15 to $20 million. Think about where that money could be being allocated, no matter if it's for roads and bridges or for different other, social equity programs that we could be having within our community. So I do not encourage our state to move to having 2 primary dates. I encourage that we just move our primary date for everyone at this point given. But what is the majority sentiments from the majority caucus, which is the Republicans, is not to change the date at all, and that everyone's primary date will be May the 3rd.
So, Senator Brent, how did we get to this point where we are just disheveled in Ohio politics?
Well, elections have consequences, and that's really the basic thing. When people ask, how did we get to this point? We didn't show up. We didn't fill out the census. We haven't shown up for many years all across the state. We have made very intentional efforts not to how we elect people and not showing up. And so that doesn't just happen just here in Cleveland. That's happened all over our state and all within our nation. So when people have an over-reliance of hoping that people are going to do the right thing, people are showing you that they don't care. And so we have to stand up against this foolery. And that's what it is, straight foolery. And it's going to affect a lot of people, where even now the boards of elections do not have a method. They're trying to figure out a method to make sure that they can have all their ballots printed in a timely manner. Imagine trying to request your ballot in 24 days, which you will be able to, and the Board of Elections telling you have to wait a week or so because we need to find a printer because we don't have a way to print it here within the state of Ohio. That is what's happening right now. So many things are at stake, and people are not saying anything. People should be tearing down the walls of the State House right now with everything going on.
Yes.
Thank you. Reverend Ben Fair, you have a question for the state rep?
Thank you, State Rep Juanita Brent. I have a question for you. Do you think that everything that's going on with behind this, the maps and everything, do you think this is voter suppression?
The way this election is going on, it will cause voter confusion, which will lead to voter suppression. People are in a place right now where they're not knowing. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of people who contact my office who are believing that the election date is going to get changed. There are a lot of people who are believing there's going to be 2 elections. People don't know what's going on. And because we have an over-reliance upon the media, I'm grateful for the media, but then sometimes the media is trying to figure out what's going on too. It's causing a lot of misinformation to be put out. And we already have a large bit of lack of voting involvement, where we even have communities here in Cleveland where you have 3% voter turnout. So if you're already not feeling like people are hearing you, the government is working on your behalf, it's going to be so hard just to get people to come out and vote. And you will see a lot more people just staying home because they're going to feel like government is working to deceive them, not working to help them. And that is a big key of voter suppression.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else with another question before the state rep leaves?
I have one last question, State Rep Brent. Where do we go as a community and as a people, especially people in your district and neighboring districts, not to be disillusioned or disenfranchised, but start to believe again in the hope of politics and of public service?
So you said, where does somebody go to be involved?
Yes. Where do we go from here as stakeholders in our community and as Ohioans moving forward to like right the ship, right the wrongs of the politics of today for a better tomorrow?
The basic things, people have to show up. I'll just say for me, I monthly have what they call office hours, and because of the pandemic and the lack of public access to public locations, I do mines online where people can see me on Facebook or Instagram Live, and people can come complain or give me compliments or ask questions that way. And just, reading my newsletters or information that goes out within my community. But if your representative or your state senator is not doing that, you have to show up. You have to remember that the state house is the people's house, and you have to hold people accountable for showing up for you and providing you information. And if people are not willing to do that, then they do not deserve to be elected to office. It is a privilege. And I say that again, it is a privilege to be in this place. And every day people are fighting for power. What we see when it comes to our state house is people fighting for power, not fighting for people. They're fighting for power. And that is really our bigger problem, because there's been more of a focus on fighting for power instead of fighting for the people. And so it has to be some type of level of accountability. People have to show up, and then they don't just show up. They have to be consistent with showing up by showing up in the social media, showing up physically at the State House. If people only knew that it costs $17 to get on a Greyhound, and the Greyhound is a block away from the State House, I think more people will show up. I think if people realize that they can watch all of our committee hearings and sessions online at ohiochannel.org, that way, I think more people will show up. I think if people knew that mostly all of our state legislators are on Twitter or on Instagram or some type of formal way, I think they will show up. If they realize that if they send us a letter that is going to come directly to our office, I think they will show up. And so we have to be held accountable for our actions about what's happening to us. We cannot wait for people to do right by us. People are not going to do right by us unless we make serious demands, and that has to do with a lot of consistency. I can probably put on 3 good hands on how many times I've seen people come down to the State House. And I know that might seem really far for people, and we might have those different barriers that keep us there, keep us away from it, but we got to figure out a plan to fight for ourselves. We have to figure that out every day, and we cannot just rely upon people who are elected to get that done.
I want to thank you. You've been so kind with your time, State Senator, and we look forward to having you another time this month, because we're going to have on our podcast, this is International Women's Day, and we're going to recognize women who are on the ballot who are African Americans on our podcast. So you'll get another call before the end of the month, and we'll let you know what day it'll be. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Candace Jones, is Mr. Paniker's on the line?
No, he hasn't joined.
All right. Check him out while we check some other things out, would you please? All right. Reverend Ben Fair,
Yes, sir.
would you bring our audience up to date on what's happening at the city of Cleveland next Tuesday?
Oh, yes, sir. The city of Cleveland next Tuesday, we'll be having the Mayor Justin Bibbs will be having this 100-day state of the city address.
That's another date. The date for that Reverend Macon is doing the event.
We gonna have next Tuesday. We'll be having the Memorial Day. Memorial Day. The city will be memorializing or recognizing those who was lost in the during the pandemic, during COVID-19, from 2020 to 2022. Sorry.
You have the particulars? Are you familiar with it?
Yes, we'll be having a meeting. Everybody will be coming together at 7:30 at the Cleveland Convention Center. I think it is on a Tuesday night, and we're asking all of the ministers to open their doors at 12 noon to let people come in for prayer on Tuesday to commemorate the death and loss of their loved ones and family members.
Okay, the participants in that event, it starts at 7 o'clock at Tuesday at the public auditorium.
Okay.
That's across from Cleveland City Hall, 601 Lakeside. Will be Mayor Justin Bibb, County Executive, and Pastor Macon from United Pastors in Mission. We'll be convening, and there'll be a service for 1 hour or maybe an hour and a half. This coming Tuesday. All right. We look forward to being there, and it's in your phone. They sent you an email. You might want to double check we got all the information.
Yes, sir.
Check it out. Okay. Mr. Bell, did you understand the assignment that I gave you to check with Channel 8?
Yes, actually, I called.
No, you have to you have to write it out.
Okay.
You know how
Mr. Bibb,
Yes.
before we sign off, I would like to make one announcement about an event on Monday.
Okay, did you find Mr. Panicus?
Pardon?
They said we got 3 minutes.
We started late. Your time and his time don't match. Okay.
He not gonna give us the full hour, so we started at 6 minutes after.
We started 6 minutes after. Okay, go ahead. Miss Candace,
Yes.
do your announcement, please.
On Monday, March the 14th, 2022 at 9 p.m., you are invited to the official launch for the Honorable Charles E. Bibb Sr. Noni is back. The juice is loose. Join the next great phenomenon. Global search, proactive health, power of the plants, and regional discoveries. Front-end incomes drive the opportunity. Full-time income drives the financial freedom. Participation in the wealth creates incentives. You can go to the website www.charlesebibbsr.golovelife.com for more information about the products. Top Gun Go Love Life is a Zoom meeting that will be Monday, March 14th at 9 p.m.
All right. Thank you very kindly, and we'll be back on Saturday. Do you have the number for Mr. Robert Dean for Saturday? If you don't, then we'll get it from Mr. Panicus when we reach him. James Panicus. Okay, Mr. Bell. James
Yes.
Jerome Bell. You have been in touch with a person at Channel 8.
Yes, I have.
What's the person's name in their position?
Well, I was in conversation with someone who chose not to be named at this time.
Oh no, we'll go to the next assignment. Let's see, Reverend Ben Fair.
Yes, sir.
In your announcement about the United Pastors Mission, make sure let them know about there'll be no regular meeting on Tuesday. Did you get that notice?
Yes.
Share that with all of you.
The reason why we're not having a meeting on United Pastors Mission on Tuesday is because we'll be celebrating the Memorial Day. So all the pastors are opening up their doors so people can come in and pray at 12 noon on Tuesday.
Okay. And once again, the event is when, date, and time, so it was a little confusing.
Okay. The date is, I know it's next Tuesday. I'm not sure the date. The time is 7:30.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll see you all next week. Same place, same time.
All right. Thank you.